Looking for a way to spice up those gift cards that you plan on giving this holiday season? I've got a really fast, super easy way to make it super fun. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Tiffany. If you're brand new here, I'm so excited for you to join the journey and crochet along with me. This is a project that just kind of spontaneously came to me as I was working on Christmas presents, and I am so excited about this one. I was making gift card holders because there are members of my family that gift cards were the best option, but I recognized that just giving a gift card feels like it lacks a little bit of heart, so I wanted to crochet something, but nothing was really hitting the spot. And then a game, a regular Christmas party game, it came to mind. I don't know, let me know in the comment section below if you've ever played this game before, but it's that one where you have gifts and then you wrap something around the gifts and then you add another gift and then you wrap stuff around the gift and you just keep building and building. And I was like, I want to recreate that with a crochet project. And so that's basically what I did. And there's a lot of variations that you can do with this. This is probably the smallest variation, but you can obviously take this and go obnoxious with it, which is just the best. So I have a little button here with a little button hole. And then with Velcro, you open it up. And at the very base is a little pouch that you can put your gift card or money or a little gift in there, and you just kind of have to get to it. So the Velcro helps so that the person can't just quickly fling it open and like fling it and then have it unravel and like boom, there it is at the bottom. No, you literally have to like work at it to get to it. So that is what we are making in this video today. The other great thing about this project is you can use scrap yarn to make it. And even scrap yarn materials might even be the best materials for you to use. For me, I started making these pouches right here with the leftover scrap yarn from last year's wine bottle holder or bottle holder that I did a tutorial for. Do you remember that one? I'll show a picture here on the screen just as a reminder. Loved that video, loved that project, and I had a little bit of leftover scrap yarn. So working with that. This is all Lily Sugar and Cream, but you can really use whatever yarn you want. The crochet hook that I'm using is the G6, or this one says 4.25 millimeter, but you could use a 4 millimeter too. There's a lot of little things that I added on top. The yarn needle, tapestry needle, the pair of scissors, some stitch markers to hold the flap in place as I am joining that flap over the top. Then I have my button if you wanted to add a button. The sewing needle and thread to attach the button, obviously. And then I have Velcro. Velcro is what I added. This is optional, but I thought it was great, just a little more complicated, you know, have fun with it. And then Aleene's Quick Dry Fabric Fusion fabric glue is optional. I used it personally to attach the Velcro more quickly to the project, and as you can see, it held up really well. And it's machine wash and dryable, so you can wash this if it gets dirty and the fabric glue stays strong. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I love giving those gifts that make people laugh. You know, those almost practical joke gifts, but because you crocheted it, it has so much more heart and feeling in it. It's just awesome. Now, I tried to go off of the width dimension of a gift card, so I knew for a fact that a gift card would fit. You can feel free to make yours as wide as you want, like go crazy. I'm gonna start here by chaining 16. 15, 16, awesome. Now for this project, I did something different with working off my foundation row chain, and that was making my single crochet stitches, not in the V stitches, but if you take the V's and you flip them over, they look like interlocking chains, and I make my single crochet stitch in that middle loop, that one single middle loop. So if I were to turn this over, the V stitch, the pure V stitch would be on the bottom, and I'm going to single crochet in that bottom loop or that chain link. And what this will do, why I chose to do this, is because if I flip it over, The V stitches are very pretty and clean on the other side, and because this is going to be on the top of my flap, I thought it was more aesthetically pleasing, looked a little prettier and better put together. But again, that is an optional piece. You don't have to necessarily go with that. Okay. Now, for anyone of you who is more than a beginner, all I am doing is making one single crochet stitch in every stitch space all the way across for how many rows? Through the end of row 49. And that is where I stopped for this length right here. And the dimensions of this pouch here were 4.5 inches wide, 9 inches long with this pouch already created. So from the bottom of the pouch to the top here was 9 inches. And then the pouch itself is 2.5 inches deep here. So this is the pouch I'm showing you how to make. Feel free to make this even longer or more obnoxious if you would like. All right, so let me get to the end here, and then I will show all of you newbies, my absolute beginners, how I get onto the next row, and then I'll meet you guys at the next step. Okay, great. Now that I've reached the end of row 1, just to go on to the next row, we chain 1, we turn our work, and we make one single crochet stitch under both loops all the way across. And again, all of you absolute beginner crocheters that are working this project, feel free to continue on doing the same thing, making one single crochet stitch every stitch space. At the end, chain 1, turn, and continue on. So for me, I chained 16 in my foundation row. Every single row, I should have 15 stitches. So to make sure that you're staying on track, to make sure that the sides of your work is staying straight, every now and then count to make sure you have 15 stitches in your row. So that way you know that everything is on track. You've got this. I'm super excited. Super quick project. I'll see you at row 49, or the end of row 49. I'll see you at the end of row 49. Perfect. Just finished row 49 and we are now on to row 50. So row 50 is more like round 50. It's the very first row of the border to clean everything up, the sides and everything. But for this guy right here, I used the same yarn for the border as I did the inner body. So I just chained 1 and turned my work and continued on. But because this is all one solid color, it's not a variegated yarn that changes colors, I really want the border to pop to give it a little extra something something. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my yarn and tie off the project right here. There we go. And I'm gonna grab another color. In this case, it's red, because, you know, Christmas. But it can be whatever colors. This is fun for whatever occasion. So slip stitching in that first stitch space to attach the yarn. So slip stitch. There we go. Chaining 1 and single crocheting in the first 7 stitch spaces. Now that is, of course, if you used the same pattern amount of stitches that I did for this project. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I chain 5 for the button loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I skip the next stitch space and single crochet in the last 7 stitches so there's symmetry. 7 single crochets leading up to the loop, skipping a space, then 7 single crochet stitches leading away from the loop. All right, and 7. In that last stitch space, because it's a corner, I'm going to go ahead and make 3 single crochet stitches in that same stitch space to get onto the next side. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. I'm going to pause here and I'm going to grab my 2 stitch markers and I'm going to secure the bottom fold over before I move on, just so that way I don't have to worry about it or think about it. So I'm going to want to make sure that my right side of the work is going to continue to stay forward, and I want to fold the pouch on the wrong side. And you can identify this by looking at the stitches here on the top, seeing the V's. If you can see the V, then it's the right side of the work, the side we want to present it out to everybody. If you flip it over, you'll see, oh, I don't see those V stitches here. That's because I'm looking at the back or the wrong side of the work. I want to be looking at the wrong side of the work or the back when I fold up the pouch. And I align the pouch with row 23. Find row 23, line that up there, and then secure it with your stitch marker. There we go. Great. Now we can continue on down the side, because as we are making the border, we will also be joining these two sides together to close up the pouch. All right, to make the border, we're just making one single crochet stitch in the side of every row. If you look at these X shapes, or if you notice that there's these line indents, between each line indent is 2 rows. If you look at the side, you'll see little like mounds. Each mound, 2 rows. 1 row on one side, 1 row on the other. You could also just make sure you count the number of stitches along the side, but that is most helpful, is just kind of knowing 1 single crochet stitch side of every row. Great. When you come upon the stitch marker, so do that last stitch space. So here, this stitch has the marker in it. I'm going to go ahead and remove the stitch marker. Okay. I'm going to insert my crochet hook into that next stitch space, come to the back, align or insert my crochet hook into that first row on the bottom, that corner. Then I'm going to yarn over, pull the yarn all the way through, and single crochet, and that joined those 2 sides together. And now just continue on to this bottom fold, making 1 single crochet through both the front and the back. There we go. The stitches should align, and because we started at the edge, we're just going to kind of align everything all the way to the bottom, and it all should just come together. All right, and I know this is just me. You could probably stop right here, but I do insert my crochet hook here at the very bottom. It's really just right there at the edge, and I make 1 more single crochet stitch right there at the very edge to close it off, and then I tie off the work. Great. Now here's something to pay attention to, guys. When I do the next side of my border to secure this side and clean up this side of the work, I want to keep all of those V stitches, the right side of the work, facing the same direction. So when I go about making my next join, I want my V stitches to continue showing up on this side. So that means I'm going to need to start at this next bottom corner. That way I'm still working the same direction. So I am going to make sure everything stays aligned here, pinching, even though there's a stitch marker holding it there, sometimes they're not. I mean, I wish I had like a really firm clamp sometimes, because there's a lot of shifting that can happen there. Okay, then I'm gonna line up those humps, line up the humps. See that 1 row here at the bottom that looks like little, just a little half of a hump. I'm going to insert my crochet hook in that bottom stitch, come out the other side. See how it's literally just right there. Slip stitch to attach the yarn to the project. I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet into that same stitch space we just slip stitched into to begin. And then continuing to make 1 single crochet stitch to join the 2 sides together. It's funny, for me, in order to do this, I have to switch to the knife hold just because I feel like I have a little bit better control. It's interesting how depending on what you're working and how you're working it, it can affect how you hold the crochet hook or even how you hold your yarn tension hand. I've definitely caught myself holding the yarn or holding the crochet hook different ways depending on how I'm working with the yarn. Okay, this is right before the marked stitch. Not quite there yet, and now I'm at the marked stitch space, so I'm going to remove the stitch marker. Okay, insert, come to the very bottom here, and whoop, whoop. There we go. And now I'm literally done with the join. It looks great, super happy with it. And I'm off to finishing up this side of the border, just making 1 single crochet stitch in the side of every row. I will meet you at this last corner to show you how it's a little bit different, and then we'll close it up and move on to the next step. Okay, when we get to that last stitch space here in the corner, we need to make 2 stitches in this stitch space to help satisfy that smooth corner. There's already 1 single crochet stitch in this stitch space. That was the very first single crochet stitch that we made for this border. So I just need to make 2 more. 1, 2, awesome. Slip stitch into the top of the very first single crochet stitch we made to close that border, and we're done with that. Grabbing scissors to cut off this yarn, tie that off. Sweet. So normally what I would do next is weave in my ends before I moved forward. I might just weave in 1 for you just so you can have an idea of how I weave in my ends, but there's a whole video that I have with different ways to weave in your ends and join yarn. If you'd like to check that out, I'll put that in the description section and comment section below this video for you. Some great tips if you're just struggling with the whole weaving process. On the inside of the work here, this is the pouch. The reason why I'm going after this one right here is because depending on how you weave this in, it can either look very fluid and joined smoothly, or it can look very abrupt. So if I were to just come over and start weaving in this way, there would be this interesting abrupt knot and edge right here. So what I'm going to do first before I weave is I'm going to come into the side of the work here, kind of in line with it. La, 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 there. So just kind of go all the way through and pull, almost going underneath the border a little bit. So that way it looks like it has this very clean, all the way across kind of thing going on. And then I will come back through from the front to the back. And then I'm fine to just weave in normally because the top is secured the way I want it to look. And how I'm going to go is I'm going to go underneath loops, one direction. And my little trick is I like to actually go through it, just kind of pierce right through the strand itself so that the yarn fibers will cling to each other and it creates an even more secure hold. And just kind of continue on just a little bit. But then what really helps is turning back. Now I'm going to find this last yarn that I went under and I'm going to go over that so I don't undo everything that I just did. And then go back through all the way through the very edge. I'm going to hold this back and pull, kind of bring it, shift it back a little bit because sometimes everything pulls together in bunches, and I'm going to try to unbunch it. There we go, and then cut, and we are good. And then I would repeat that whole process with all the other tails going on. All right, so we're pretending right now that I've woven in all of my ends. The next thing I'm going to want to do is add the button. So I'm going to grab the button and honestly, the size of the button. Right, measuring tape. I got this from Mary. One of my followers, good friend, sent me this measuring tape. Shouting you out, girl. Thank you. So this actually is 3/4 of an inch. Look at that. Okay, I'm glad that I measured it out. So that's the size button that I'm using, but feel free to use whatever size button. Like if you want to adjust this loophole and do more or less than 5 chains, have fun. Okay, so I'm gonna take the sewing needle, not the yarn needle, but the sewing needle and thread, any sewing thread. This is just one I had out and about. I'm gonna take this, here's the pouch. I'm gonna fold one, keep going, fold. And the button is actually gonna fall like right on this fold or crease, just like it did here, see? Now I like to place the button right in the middle. Now that I kind of have an idea of where we are going, I'm gonna unfold here and then count 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right in between here, having the border really kind of changes things a little. I'm gonna insert my needle from the back to the front. Then I'm gonna grab my button and I'm going to thread that through. And now everything is secure, and I'm just gonna go back and forth through one way and then in. And I'm gonna repeat this over and over and over again. I literally will go until this is a really thick, solid line. And I know the button is very strong and secure. And cut. Great, so we're done with that now. Last thing for me is the Velcro. Now the Velcro is obviously optional. You don't have to have the Velcro, but I thought it was a fun touch. I really just kind of do little strips for each section. So I see the rollover, I have 1 section and 2 sections. And if I really fold and try to make a crease, then it kind of shows here where the creases were. And I will make the Velcro just big enough to fit in the crease. It's about 1.5 inches. All right. Then I grab my fabric fusion, the fabric glue here. Find the side, so this is the scratchy side, this is the soft side. I want to start with the soft side, and I will coat this whole section with the fabric glue. And I'll come as close to the side as I can, so that way if I wanted to add anything in this section here, I could, and it's not taking up too much room. All right, and then I'm gonna come to the other side to add the next one, so it's kind of balanced a little bit. Great. Okay, and now I'm gonna add the glue on this side. And I try to get close to the edges of it, not just in the middle. That way it secures completely and there isn't any part of it that you could like pick at, or it could come apart from the item and then either be damaged or just come apart. So I try to get all the edges too. Okay. And fold on top. Back, fold again. Right there. And then I'll take something heavy and I'll put it on top of it. Because it's a quick dry glue, pretty soon this is the finished item that we just made. And there we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and invite my son in now and show you the reaction and the whole idea behind this really fun little gift card or gift pouch. Okay, so we're gonna test this out so you guys can see in real time what this is all about and what makes it so incredibly special. Now, the one that I have here is my obnoxious one that I made extra long, much longer than the one I showed you in the tutorial today. But here is a firsthand glimpse on why this is so awesome.
Let's kind of open the button. I see stickers.
What are they?
Minecraft stickers. There are more Minecraft stickers. A creeper, Enderman, Alex, and a swab. Candy. It's Laffy Taffy. I love Laffy. I also love Pop Rocks. I love Pop Rocks. And then da 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 da.
What is that?
Pokemon. I love Pokemon.
All right, so Davin, what did you think of this little unwrapping thing?
It's really cool because you get to see one gift one at a time and just instead of just seeing it all at once. Especially since like when I was unopening it, I'm like, ooh, there's this, and then this, and then this. And it's just like a bunch of stuff at once. That's really
a little anticipation as you keep going and building. Well, cool. So that's it in real time, guys. I hope that you like this. I hope you give it a try and make one yourself. Super fun and super easy. Well, if you like this video, of course, check out my other Christmas videos right here. I hope you I hope you enjoyed this one. Remember, don't just make something to make something or crochet something to crochet something. Crochet a memory. I'll see you with the next one, guys. Bye.
What? This is so cool.